This video is brought to you by Manscaped.com. More from them in a bit. I appreciate the fact that when I want to watch a specific episode of Matlock, I can just watch that episode of Matlock. There's no fiddling around with VHS cassettes, no DVD menus to navigate through, no need to pick up that remote and skip the ads every few minutes after recording this on a DVR. All I have to do is press the Watch Matlock button on my TV and enjoy the show. This is not to say that streaming is perfect, though, obviously. From the price hikes, the limits on account sharing, the plague that is pre-show ads on Paramount Plus.
Bazinga.
Look, streaming is not sustainable, nor is most business ventures in the 21st century, it turns out. Investors want growth. I talk about this a lot because it's important. In traditional business models, growth is pretty easy to accomplish. Let's say you make coffee mugs. You make a coffee mug, you sell it. Then you can take that money you make from the coffee mug and you can reinvest that back into the business. Hire more people to make more mugs, to sell more mugs, to make more money, to hire more people, and so on and so forth. For the streaming business, things are not this simple. But before I get into all of that, this video is brought to you by Manscaped.com, the global men's lifestyle brand that has the right tools for all dads this year. Meet the Handyman, designed for the dad who can fix anything except his unruly facial hair. If your dad is looking for a closer and smoother finish, then the Handyman Face Shaver is the perfect tool for him. We got the Weed Whacker 2.0 nose and ear hair trimmer, 7,000 RPM motor, 360-degree rotary dual blade system. It also features a high-performance rechargeable battery that lasts for up to 45 minutes. That's pretty good. It's cordless, wireless, no wires. Head over to manscaped.com and get 20% off plus free international shipping when you use promo code KNOWLEDGEHUSK at checkout. That's 20% off free international shipping with promo code KNOWLEDGEHUSK at manscaped.com. There are two ways you can grow. You can, one, get more users, get more people onto your service, or two, charge your existing users more money to use that service. But at some point, you will have gotten all of the users who will ever be interested in your service to get your service. And if you continue increasing prices on these subscriptions, people will get sick of it and they'll cancel their subscription and you will no longer grow. This is a balancing act, but it seems like everything's about to come tumbling down. In the biz, there is a term, a concept called churn. Now, this is hip corpo speak that refers to when people like you cancel your subscriptions, often with the intent of signing back up eventually. For example, I don't really watch Netflix. I don't have a consistent Netflix subscription, but for 1 month out of a year, I will subscribe to Netflix to watch Cobra Kai. And then after that month of me watching through all of that, I'm gonna cancel my subscription again. Not because of this, because I do this. I am not a valuable customer to Netflix or Disney because I'm taking advantage of their subscription model. I am paying a relatively small fee to watch a lot of things for a month, and then I'm bailing on them. And they do not like this. This does not create growth. At best, it's stagnation, and at worst, it's just causing the companies to spend billions of dollars on stuff they'll not really make any money from. It's not paying off. Now look, even if a streaming service makes a profit for a quarter, for a fiscal year, these services are not close to experiencing the exponential growth that investors want. And most aren't even lucky enough to break even. Just throwing money down the drain. And what scares these corporations, what scares Hollywood, is that this might be a problem with no solution. Maybe the streaming model, maybe this monetization scheme, when coupled with the nature of publicly traded corporations, it might just be flawed. It might be a flawed concept that will not boost the share values. And we've seen companies spend so much money to try to make money while losing money. These services are not showing the growth that investors want. But it's not like Disney and WB and Viacom can just go back to the way things were before this all happened. They can't return to a time of traditional television with schedules and programming blocks and syndication and ads. Yes, that worked, that made money, But you, the consumer, probably aren't gonna want to do that, you know? So to get around all of this and the decline of Hollywood and the death of media, these companies are doing the unthinkable. They're teaming up. Disney has announced a Disney plus Hulu plus HBO Max bundle. This is weird because Disney is teaming up with WB, their competitor. Now partners. Why would they do this? That's weird. That's a weird thing. And then Comcast over here is announcing an Apple TV, Netflix, and Peacock bundle. Alongside all of this, Fox Sports, ESPN, and Warner Brothers announced a streaming service for sports content. A subscription service, an application. This is not gonna end well. Hollywood teaming up with each other is concerning. And here's why. With this Comcast thing, it's going to be cheaper to get to Apple TV and Netflix and Peacock as a bundle, as opposed to signing up for these services separately. That makes sense. That's how bundles work. This is what I'm scared of. After these bundles launch, I think Disney and Hulu and Max and Apple TV and Netflix and Peacock will all start to increase the price per month for their streaming services. I think that in the future, the prices of individual services will increase to such a point that it will be unreasonable to pay for just Disney Plus or just Netflix individually when the bundles are, by comparison, relatively inexpensive. You might be asking, what is wrong with this? Well, you just lost the ability to choose your streaming service. Yes, you have the option to get Netflix by itself, but nobody's going to pay for that. Sounds bad, sounds dystopian, right? Well, that's cable. Cable packages were packages. If you wanted just one channel, if you wanted the Cartoon Network, you would still have to pay for dozens or hundreds of other channels that you never planned on watching. And it worked. That's how they made money. This seems to be the only way these companies could avoid churn. This is how they would get around the issue of people like me canceling their subscriptions when they just don't need them anymore. And once enough people adopt these bundles that seem inexpensive, well then they'll start to increase those prices. And that's how they can grow. They don't have to worry about churn anymore. They don't have to worry about people canceling subscriptions after using them for just 1 month because they risk losing access to all their streaming services. You might be wondering, would this even work? Ask yourself this. What if you could pay $100 a month to get access to all the streaming services? Would you do it? Probably not. Most of you don't watch every streaming service, or even enough to make this proposition worthwhile. But what if I told you you had to pay $100 a month to get access to any streaming service? Some of you would say yes. Yeah, $100 is a lot of money, but the alternative is that you just can't watch TV anymore. If this happened in 2010, when these sort of prices weren't outrageous for cable, this might have seemed like an incredible deal. Watch nearly any show at any time with no ads for only $100 a month. People would be very excited for that. But consumers' tastes have changed. People's expectations have changed. What I'm trying to say here is I do think that streaming is going to turn to cable. And I think for a brief time, this is going to work out in Hollywood's favor. They'll make more money, avoid people like me, ne'er-do-wells, who just jump in for a month, have their fun, and leave. But I also think this is a bit short-sighted. Now, I don't like to generalize generations, but sometimes traits, interests, and habits are shared across people of the same age group. And in general, Gen Z watches less television than people of older demographics. That does not mean they consume less media, it's just different media. While you might be over there watching your favorite episode of Gunsmoke, the young people are watching their Tic Tacs. What ends up killing a medium more than anything else is a lack of accessibility. Remember sports? Throw a ball, catch a ball. Young people don't like watching live sports as much as older people do, generally speaking. It might have something to do with the fact that you have to pay an obscene amount of money to even watch sports. How will people know if they like the baseball if they have to pay a large fee up front to even find out if they're interested? They've created a barrier of entry. Gen Z and Gen Alpha's declining interest in Hollywood, in television, in movies, that will only get worse. So I've been thinking about this for a while. How would you actually reverse this trend? How would you fix this? It wouldn't be easy. You'd have to drop the price of these streaming services a lot to compete with the social medias, the YouTubes, and that price is free, you know, so it'd have to be a free service. But you gotta make money somehow. Something's gotta pay for these shows. So what if during the shows, the content, you ran ads every 15 minutes or so, you know? Also, looking at watch time data, serialized programs, stuff that relies on an overarching plot as opposed to self-contained episodes, it actually doesn't do all that well. What if instead of like doing 7 episodes a season, you did like, I don't know, somewhere between 20 and 26 episodes? This might be too expensive though, so let's cut the average length of these programs from like an hour and a half to, I don't know, 23 minutes or so. If you need a drama, something longer than that, maybe you double it to 46 minutes, but keep the budgets low. We don't really need $10-50 million an episode. Also, it seems as if you take a show, if you take a whole season of a show and you release it all at once, that really just kills the conversation and momentum of the show, because a lot of people will have watched it within 12 hours and spoil it for everybody else. Its cultural relevance has been stifled. Also, you know, don't just release a season in chunks to avoid churn. That's a bad idea too. People don't seem to like that. So what if you just released episodes like once a week, the same time every week? You know, I think there's a lot of potential with this idea. If the cost of programming was paid for by ads, TV shows that have more viewers would make more revenue, which would give Hollywood more incentive to make shows that more people actually want to watch. Wow, that would change everything. But they're not gonna do that. So I'm just gonna go buy Matlock on DVD. Again, huge thanks to Manscaped.com for sponsoring this video. You head over to Manscaped.com to get 20% off free international shipping when you use promo code KnowledgeHusk at checkout. Do it!